This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 77th time ever, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Reviewing Network Live. That wasn't looking too exciting at the start of the week. It was kind of a slow news week for the first couple of days of the week in general. But then all of a sudden, Thursday was the big day where there was just a ton of news breaking. And so we actually do have a show filled with some stuff to talk about here. So strap yourself in, get ready for another hour of me talking about the latest news in the world of entertainment. And of course, we always begin with the top five. The top five movies at the weekend box office this weekend on a not so inspiring weekend in terms of the box office in general. It was mostly kind of a bland weekend in general, but then again, no big new releases came out except for one that we'll delve into in just a little bit here. But number five last week, and that's Niza 2, which added another $4.4 million, dropping 42% from last week, bringing its 2-week domestic total here to $14.89 million if you average it out to the $14,860,000 that it's currently at. But worldwide grosses, it's already passed the $1 billion mark, even though Box Office Mojo is not reporting that. Also, the only thing they're reporting is $13.5 million. But if you go on the Wikipedia's page, it does say it's over $1 billion, and it's according to the, let's see, where is it? The numbers, right? The numbers. Yeah, I should have done my research on this, but let me just see here. Yeah, if you go to the numbers website, which is another box office type of website, it says international box office is $1,826,319,000. So in total, it's up to $1,841,119,000. So there you go. As I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not. But good on that movie, man, for doing as well as it has been doing. But who knows? Maybe it's actually probably not. I was going to say maybe it's going to have a little bit of a life here in America, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to, especially when you consider that it dropped 43% from last week. But movie I have seen, number 4, Dogman, still hanging in there with about $6 million, $5.9 million to be exact, 39.7% drop off. I'm getting my numbers mixed up here. 39.7% drop off. $78.8 million after 4 weeks, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but considering this film cost $40 million, and the film it's going to be profitable for DreamWorks, and it did already surpass its $100 million worldwide. So it is definitely a hit film, and a really good hit film. Speaking of hit films, number 3, last week's number 2, last week's new release, Paddington in Peru, which fell off a bit from last week. $6.5 million, dropping 49% from last week, and bringing its 2-week domestic total to $25.3 million. But just like with Niza 2, it's making most of its money overseas because of Paddington's its popularity overseas. It's already at $150 million worldwide, with $125 million internationally that it's already done. So yeah, a lot of this money was going to be made overseas regardless. But anyway, it's still a really good movie. So that brings us into the new release of the weekend, the big new release of the weekend, the number 2 film this week, Oscar Perkins' follow-up to Longlegs, The Monkey, which was instantly promoted after in the trailers for Longlegs. They already started putting the trailer out for this back in the summertime, and it's a film that, if you haven't heard about it, it's about when twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic. A series of gruesome deaths start up, and the siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. But of course, with a monkey as creepy as this thing, and the fact that this is a film that's also based off of a Stephen King story, and this is also a film produced by James Wan. It's not just a simple monkey story. No, this is basically another Monkey Shines, where the monkey is part of the killer, is basically the killer in this, and you would expect, is what you expect from a film like this is what you get in here. And the word of mouth on this film has been pretty solid. It's gotten pretty good reviews overall. 77 on Rotten Tomatoes, 63 out of 100 on Metacritic. The C+ Cinema Score rating is a little bit alarming, but then again, that's mostly what horror movies nowadays usually do. But for Neon, this is a big success for them because this was their second highest grossing opening weekend of all time, behind Long Legs. 14.9 is $14.2 million. The budget on this was only $10 to $11 million, so it's instant profit from this point going forward for it. And as I said, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've never had a real keen on checking it out myself, but I don't know. I've heard some good things about it, but hey, good on that movie, man. And apparently Neon and Osgood Perkins are in good company because I guess he's already working on his next movie that's supposed to come out this Halloween, Keeper, which features Tatiana Maslany, who's also in this movie too. So it's already set to come out in October, and they already showed a teaser for it after the credits of The Monkey. So they were already prepared. There is I think Neon and Osgood Perkins are going to be working together for a long, long time at this point. If this is what the future looks like for this, But that brings us to the number one movie of the week. The number one film this week, which is, not surprisingly, Captain America: Brave New World. Now, the good news is for this movie is that it didn't have the massive steep drop-off that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium had 2 years ago, which was contributed also to the fact that there was a big new wide release in Cocaine Bear that came out a weekend after the Quantumanium came out. But this isn't as bad as that, but it's still a little bit alarming. A 68.3% drop-off from last week to bring its total up to $28.2 million. The total gross domestically is $141.2 million. If I read it correctly, this thing has to make at least $425 million worldwide, I think, in order to break even. And as I look at the numbers so far, I mean, it's close. It's getting there. $289 million worldwide. $289.4 million worldwide if you count the $148.2 million internationally. I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to be an underperforming film compared to the other Captain America movies, but I don't think it's as bad as it looks for this film going forward. I think it will eventually make that $425 million, it was between 420 and 425. I think it said $421 million for it to break even. I think it's going to do that in the long run. And this movie's going to have the benefit of a lack of competition going forward. There's not going to be a whole lot of movies that are kind of come in and really take away a lot of its business. I mean, next weekend there's no big new releases coming out, with the exception of the Woody Harrelson movie Last Breath, which even that doesn't seem like it's going to be a big release in general. The next possible big... So it would not be shocking at all if Captain America is the number one movie again next week. The week after that is a question mark, because Mickey 17 comes out, the new film from the director of Parasite, his follow-up film with Robert Pattinson. The early word of mouth on that is good, and it just depends on if people are going to go and take this movie on. I think it's an original concept, too, if I'm not mistaken, or is it based off of something? Is it based off of something? It is based off of something. It's based off of a book of the same name, But yeah, the word of mouth on this has been pretty solid. The reviews have been pretty good. I think it's up to 89 on Rotten Tomatoes, 75 out of 100 on Metacritic. But yeah, it could be a film that could be a surprise hit in general. But we'll see what happens. But that's easily the next big target for. To take the number one spot in general. And after that, there's really not a whole... After that, I think the next big new release that comes out on March 14th, and that's Novocaine, which is the Jack Quaid movie that I've been seeing a lot of previews for. And more importantly, the Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, which opens up on that weekend. I'm going to bring this up because we need to make this movie a hit. It's the only way we're going to see Coyote versus Acme. If this movie becomes a success, Coyote versus Acme is probably going to get released, it looks like. At least that's what Eric Bauza said, who's the voice of Daffy and Porky, but in the Looney Tunes show. And he's also done Bugs Bunny, too. So We should all go see The Day the Earth Blew Up on March 14th. Support 2D animation and movie in the box is at the box office. Damn it! I mean, let's get that back in there. Let's get traditional animation back in theaters. I'm definitely looking forward to it on March 14th. But other than that, though, that's the weekend box office. Not a whole lot of big news in general. There was one other noteworthy new release, and that was The Unbreakable Boy, which stars Zachary Levi. And it's about a young boy who was born with who has both a rare brittle bone disease and autism. But what makes him truly unique in this joyous, funny, life-affirming worldview that transforms and unites everyone around him. I read that wrong. But what makes him truly unique is his joyous, funny, life-affirming worldview that transforms and unites everyone around him. Which I'm glad the movie says that, because apparently nobody else gave a crap about this movie. This thing flopped pretty badly. This brought in $2.5 million. It's the worst opening weekend for Zachary Levi, who said earlier this week that, he boasted that, well, me supporting Donald Trump hasn't really affected me, is my star power in general. Let's see if that changes this week when you see the numbers for this movie that you just did. Yeah, because this film did not do very well at the box office. It was mostly met with mostly mixed reception by critics. It says here, according to Wikipedia, that women accounted for 60% of the opening weekend audiences. People over the age of 35, comprising 70% of those specifically over 55, making up 42%, which is the norm for faith-based films. Diversity demos: 70% Caucasian, 20% Latino and Hispanic, 4% Asian, and 2% Black. So in other words, if you weren't white, you didn't give two shits about this movie in general. And quite frankly, I can't imagine people would want to be that way, because the movie looked pretty bland, boring in general. And even if Zachary Levi didn't go completely nuts, this thing still would have bombed big time. Just saying. But with that said, though, that is the weekend box office, so let's go ahead and get to some of the news stories, which started off with a doozy of a story this week involving Agent 007. So, not surprisingly, we're starting off with easily the biggest story of the week, and this is a big doozy of a story. If you did not see this on Thursday morning, James Bond is about to get a whole lot more under control with the major studio, because Amazon has taken creative control of the James Bond franchise from the Broccoli family. Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli have are about to sell off the rights to James Bond, their 60-year-old movie property, but they will remain co-owners as they move sidelines as part of this joint venture transaction, as I'm reading off of the Hollywood Reporter here. The article goes, the James Bond movie franchise has gotten a shakeup, with Amazon MGM Studios and Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli forming a new joint venture to house the movie property's intellectual property rights. Under the terms of the agreement, Amazon MGM Studios will gain creative control of the James Bond franchise, while Wilson and Broccoli will remain co-owners of the 60-year-old property. In 2022, Amazon acquired MGM, including a vast catalog with more than 4,000 films and 17,000 TV shows. Since the MGM acquisition, Amazon has held rights to distribute all the James Bond films, and following the completion of the joint venture transaction, will control the creative of future productions. We are grateful to the late Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman for bringing James Bond to movie theaters around the world, and to Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli for their unyielding dedication and their role in continuing the legacy of the franchise that is cherished by legions of fans worldwide. We are honored to continue this treasured heritage and look forward to ushering in the next phase of the legendary 007 for audiences around the world, Mike Hopkins, head of Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios, said in a statement on Thursday. Wilson added he was stepping back from producing James Bond movies to focus on art and charitable projects. Therefore, Barbara and I agreed it is time for our trusted partner, Amazon MGM Studios, to lead James Bond into the future, Wilson said in his own statement. News of the joint venture comes amid continuing speculation about Bond 26, the next iteration of the 007 franchise, after Daniel Craig hung up the tuxedo for good in No Time to Die. Barbara Broccoli echoed that it was time for her to step aside and allow Amazon MGM Studios to take over the creative realms. Let me see if I can find another story, because there's a lot of articles in here talking about where the future of James Bond goes from here. Because this is pretty significant news in general about where James Bond goes from here. I will say before I give you this article here that I think it's not a good start for the series under MGM when Jeff Bezos is asking fans online, who would you pick as the next James Bond? And yeah, I think that you could figure out what the internet is probably going to say here. That is that the internet is really not going to be very insane with this, but. And again, there are some notable names on this list here that I see on IGN. Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Idris Elba. Is names that I think probably could work overall, but what does this mean for James Bond going forward? Here's another story from Deadline Hollywood, and let's see if I can find anything specifically new here. And let's see, anything new to date here, but here we go, right here. This is the middle of the article here. With today's news, Amazon can now proceed in extending the life of Bond. In the past, filmmakers including Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan have expressed an interest in putting their stamp on Bond. Both, however, required complete creative control, which wasn't possible under the reign of Broccoli and Wilson. Now, with the producers on the side, Amazon can move forward to attract a top-tier director. So there's a positive there. Like, I would like to see what Christopher Nolan could do with James Bond in general. Tarantino... not so much. I mean, that's something where, like, I'd rather see Christopher Nolan. Let's see what he can do with James Bond, especially if you give him creative control. I think that guy could do something incredible with James Bond going forward into the future. But also coming to life in the New Deal family are a slew of Bond villains and women in their own series of features. The last time an attempt was made to spin off the Bond franchise was in 2003 with a standalone movie about the spy's girlfriend Jinx, played by Halle Berry in Die Another Day. Bond scribes Neil Purvis and Robert Wade were attached to pen that with Stephen Frears circling. But Broccoli and Wilson put the kibosh on the idea due to creative difficulties, which, yeah, I really didn't think that would be a good idea in general. As much as I love Halle Berry in Die Another Day, she was one of the few things I really liked about that movie. I feel like they would have pushed it too far. I probably would have ended up being another Elektra if they'd gone down that route, but... the hard work now begins immediately in choosing the right executive to steer Bond in Kevin Feige fashion as Amazon MGM Studios. Meanwhile, cynicism abounds around town. One senior British film executive lamented, "Without Barbara's careful supervision, Bond just becomes Jack Ryan in some TV show." One thing about Amazon versus the traditional motion picture studios, it will spend and market to the high heavens to make a movie for a streamer. They don't have any stakes. The danger per one place studio player. Watch the space, it's going to end up like The Gorge, which The Gorge is that new movie that came out just recently, which is directed by Scott Derrickson, which stars, who is it? Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, which just premiered on Apple TV Plus, which I haven't heard anything too bad about it, but I haven't heard anything too great about it either. It's just kind of a mixed opinion from most critics and audiences, but now there are executives already at hand at MGM Studios to prevent such blunders, including Scott Stuber, who had a history of shepherding tentpoles at Universal and is the head of United Artists, Bond's traditional home studio. There's also Amazon's top film executive, Courtney Valentine, who knows what it takes to create and launch a global franchise, having been behind such movies as Barbie, Mad Max Fury Road, and the Harry Potter spin-off movie Fantastic Beasts at Warner's. Also key, of course, is finding a new actor to play Bond, particularly someone who is young enough. For much like the Bonds before him, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig, they'll need to wear the tuxedo for at least a decade more. They would have just kept on fighting, said one source about the rift between Broccoli, Wilson, and Amazon. Now a new Bond movie can be delivered to a new generation much sooner. So, what do the other Bonds think about this news? What about Daniel Craig? What about, who's the other one that came out? Timothy Dalton. They had some things to say about this, and let's see what Daniel Craig had to say here as we look at the Hollywood Reporter story. And it says here, Daniel Craig is sharing his praise for producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli after news broke that the pair had passed creative control of the James Bond franchise to Amazon MGM Studios. My respect, admiration, and love for Barbara and Michael remain constant and undiminished, Craig said in a statement shared with the Hollywood Reporter. I wish Michael a long, relaxing retirement, and whatever ventures Barbara goes on to do, I know they will be spectacular, and I hope I can be part of them. So this is a story from The Independent, from an article where Timothy Dalton talked about it on Radio Times, and he said he is shocked by the deal. He says, in quotes, I was very surprised and shocked. Barbara is, I think, a fabulous woman and a wonderful producer, as was her father, Cubby Broccoli. who I got on with very well and liked a lot. He was a very powerful and strong anchor for the project. The 78-year-old continued. Nothing went on that he didn't want, and it's sad that he's not with us anymore. That's all I can say. He was well in charge of the show, and that's not so anymore. Speaking of the more recent iterations of the spy he played in the 80s, Dalton said, the movies have taken different courses over the years, but there's something very good about the original, and I hope Amazon latch onto that and give us the kind of film that's brought so much excitement and fun to so many people. The 1923 star continued, anyway, good luck to them. I say I do wish them all the very, very best. They'll be doing the best to make a lot of money, so hopefully they will make good movies. And I think that's basically what everyone is hoping with this. Like, they're hoping that Amazon is not going to completely dismantle James Bond in general, which could happen, which could not. It just depends on how you do it. If you do it the way that Disney did it with Marvel and Star Wars early on, I think it could work very well for James Bond. If you try to do it so quickly, half-ass it like what Warner Brothers tried to do with the DC Universe and also with Harry Potter with the Fantastic Beasts series, I think you're going to end up with a really, really lackluster project. But I think Amazon knows that they can't screw this up by any means necessary, especially with everybody watching them with open eyes here. I mean, this has got to be something where they've got to get it right. They have to get it right on the first try here, and I think it's going to be very difficult to see, but there's going to be a lot of fun. There's fun aspects to see what they could do with it. It's a lot of ideas of where James Bond can go. Do you do the same James Bond movie you've done for years, or do you just restart the series from scratch? I mean, you could start it off with a young James Bond, like if you get somebody like a Tom Holland or somebody like a Timothy Chalamet, do like a James Bond coming to spy school, or like whatever spy agency he's coming into, just like kind of like the equivalent of the James Bond Jr. TV series they did back in the 90s. If you do something like that, where you started off with a young James Bond and then get it from there, you could continue the series for a long period of time and do as many movies as you can. But that's just my personal thinking on it per se. But it really just comes down to who's going to direct the movie. And like I said, a Christopher Nolan James Bond movie, which seemed like it was going to be impossible to do at the first time they remembered to do it. I think you can make it work with this film, with its new regime here. It's something I would like to see him do, but then again, we'll just have to wait to see what happens. This is still relatively new, and again, it just depends on, one, who you're going to get to run the studio, what's your game plan, who's going to direct it, and what direction are you going to take James Bond. That's really where it comes down to with this particular news story. But I'm curious to see where it goes from here. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll say that. Like, it's definitely something where you could easily be worried about it, but at the same time, it'll be interesting to see where the direction goes from here. So it's not just James Bond that's making a return. The next story here says that another beloved property is making a return to our TV screens or whatever we watch our things nowadays. And that is that a new Avatar The Last Airbender follow-up series is coming to Nickelodeon very soon. The show is called Avatar 7 Havens, and this is a story from Deadline Hollywood. As it says here, the mythology and adventure of Avatar The Last Airbender will continue with Avatar 7 Havens, the new 26-episode 2D animated series ordered by Nickelodeon featuring original series creators Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko and Avatar Studios. Avatar 7 Heavens is set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. A young earthbender discovers she's the new Avatar after Korra. But in this dangerous era, the title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins and save the Seven Havens before civilization's last strongholds collapse. And, of course, Avatar, they're doing a lot of Avatar projects, especially with this new sub-studio that they've started. We just had the Last Airbender TV series on Netflix, which was not very good. It really says something when you're missing the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar: The Last Airbender movie than what they're doing now with the Netflix show, which was really, really not that good in general. But the big difference is this time around, though, is that it's got the original creators involved on this. They're the chief creative officers at the studio, and they're building this universe around here. So if they're involved in this, then there's no real choice but to get excited for this. I mean, this thing could be really, really amazingly well done. It could be a ton of fun all over, especially with them on board. And they're also working on the Avatar movie that's coming out next year with It doesn't have a title yet, but it's coming out in January of 2026, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out, especially since I love this show. I love The Legend of Korra, and like I said, it's got the same creative team behind this, so I'm very excited to see where they go here with this new direction. If they could do the same thing they did with The Legend of Korra and advance this world to where it's already been, this thing could turn out to be pretty damn good. So there's no reason to not get excited for this at this point. And then the next story comes around, and it's very, very interesting for a number of different reasons. So not too long ago, we talked about a new hot project with Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, and there's apparently another new project in the works that's completely unrelated to the first one here, and Deadline Hollywood has the story here, and it says here, Town says aloha to a Hawaii-said Goodfellas meets The Departed. Scorsese, DiCaprio, Dwayne Johnson, and Emily Blunt top crime drama package. And one of those names is definitely very, very interesting for obvious reasons. And we're going to take a look here at this article here. It says here, the hot package in town is a pitch by Martin Scorsese for a directed untitled drama that would star Dwayne Johnson, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Emily Blunt. The thumbnail description. Imagine Robert De Niro's Jimmy the Gent character from Goodfellas, but as a ruthless Hawaiian crime boss based on a real figure who battled encroaching rivals for control of organized crime in Hawaii. To be written by Nick Bilton, the film focuses on a turbulent time on the island paradise where an aspiring mob boss battled rival crime factions to wrest control of the underworld of the Hawaiian Islands. It was a bloody battle, the kind of terrain Scorsese coveted in both Goodfellas and The Departed. In 1960s and 70s Hawaii, this formidable and charismatic mob boss rises to build the island's most powerful criminal empire, waging a brutal war against mainland corporations and rival syndicates while fighting to preserve his ancestral land. It's based on the untold true story of a man who fought to preserve his homeland through a ruthless quest for absolute power, igniting the last great American mob saga, where the war for cultural survival takes place in the unlikeliest of places, paradise. This would mean another big collaboration in a historic run for DiCaprio and Scorsese, who just recently worked together on Best Picture nominee Kills of the Flower Moon, to go with highlights including The Aviator, The Departed, Gangs of New York, and The Wolf of Wall Street. This also marks a reunion for Blunt and Johnson, who worked together on Jungle Cruise for Disney. It's especially a big opportunity for Johnson, who has roots in Hawaii and long wanted to make a movie there. He had kicked around about a movie about King Kamehameha, who was, in a much different way, used his strength and persuasiveness to unite the islands to improve the dealings with the explorers that were finding their way to the island shores. Johnson is paired with Blunt on the Benny Safdie-directed Smashing Machine for A24 coming later this year. It was Blunt and Johnson who brought the idea to Scorsese and DiCaprio, and they all enlisted Bilton, who will start writing when this gets set up. Even though these principals are engaged in other projects, the town quickly sparked to the pitch, and we hear multiple bids are either on the table or are fast mobilizing. This is poised to be a big one. Stay tuned. And yeah, when you got a movie that has Scorsese and DiCaprio reuniting and you bring in Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson, of course it's going to be a big project that everyone wants to get involved in. And it could be a very interesting project, to say the least. The Oscar buzz is already starting to build for Dwayne Johnson for that movie he's in. What's it called again? The Smashing Machine, which... it definitely looks like he's going for it. He's going for the Oscar there. It just depends on if he's going to put a good performance together. But yeah, this definitely could turn out to be a very interesting project, to say the least, and one that should be very, very, very much a good movie overall. Scorsese very rarely misses, especially at his old age. I mean, he's made a couple of films that weren't that great overall, but they weren't terrible either. But he's been on a roll as of late, so yeah, I'm very excited to see the direction that this goes, and hopefully this does get made pretty soon. I'm cautiously excited about this one, So with that said, let us go ahead and move on to the next thing I want to talk about here, and it involves something that was just announced this week, and it's going to lead into a conversation that could be seen as controversial, but I feel like now's the time to really say it, because this is getting out of hand. So yeah, there was a story that came out this week that, remember that movie Leaving Neverland? You know, the movie that was complete and utter BS and made up stuff that even the people who made the film admitted that they made up the story in general, and yet everybody and their mother bought into it because we were in the Me Too movement. Well, guess what? It's getting a sequel. The Michael Jackson documentary Leaving Neverland is officially getting a sequel. An hour-long follow-up film subtitled Surviving Michael Jackson will debut on the UK Channel 4 on March 18th, Variety has confirmed. This is a story from Variety, of course. The sequel will catch up with Wade Robinson and James Safechuck, who accused the King of Pop of sexually abusing them when they were minors. Jackson denied the allegations during his lifetime, and the state continues to do so. HBO, which produced the two-part 2019 doc, is not involved in the sequel. In 2020, HBO lost a legal battle against the Jackson estate, which sued the cabler for $100 million and argued that Leaving Neverland violated a 27-year-old non-disparagement clause from a 1992 concert film from the Dangerous Tour. Directed by Dan Reed, Leaving Neverland 2 will explore the personal toll of Robson and Safechuck after they went public in accusations against Jackson. The two men continue to seek justice as they face backlash from his global army of fans. With exclusive access to court hearings, the film promises to show the extent to which the Jackson estate had fought to prevent James and Wade from having their day in court. Jackson faced multiple allegations of child sexual abuse throughout his career and faced criminal charges that led to a highly publicized trial in 2005. He denied all allegations and was found not guilty on all counts. There was literally stories out there when that first documentary came out that literally said the whole thing was complete and utter bullshit. That they literally said that they were false claims. And now the fact that they're making sequels on this and they're doing this solely because the only reason that they're doing this is because the first film was a success, and they got success because of that. And it goes back into a controversy that had its intentions very well put out early on, but this is gonna get pretty messy. What I'd have to say here. So if you don't like what I'm gonna delve into here, I would like you to skip ahead to the next story, because this is not gonna get comfortable for some people. I'm just gonna come out and say it. The Me Too movement has gone past its well-placed intentions, and I think what really solidified it was the news that somebody went out there to say that we're going to make a sequel to Leaving Neverland with no real intention except, hey, the first one was a major cash cow for us. We want to delve in on that. And hey, there's a Michael Jackson biopic coming out later this year. We're going to cash in on this. And it's not just with this, it's just with what the Me is, because here's the thing. I have nothing against the Me Too movement. What the intentions were at the beginning, was a legitimate cause. It was something that needed to be addressed. It was something that needed to be mentioned. It was something that needed to be brought out there. Bring these people who have been scumbags, who have done something that is very much not okay to do. Call them out on it and get rid of them. But that was the original intent, and it was working for the first couple of years. But then someone out there in Hollywood looked at all of this. They looked at everything that was going on and said, this is a good cause and all that, but is there any way we can make money off of this in particular? Because we want to whore the hell out of this great Me Too movement. It sounds like a trendy buzzword. Let's make movies and television shows off of this that aren't really going to help these people who are literally telling you to avoid these people. We're gonna gloat and exploit the hell out of them. But then again, that's what Hollywood has been mostly doing all this time. And I think the moment that really started this whole thing was when Hollywood decided, let's make Me Too movies. Let's make a Me Too movie in medieval times with The Last Duel. That movie remember that movie? I think people do, but I'm sorry, that movie is not that as good as people make it out to be. It's a bad movie with a plot that really isn't. It's basically Me Too in medieval times, and it's not a good Me Too medieval movie. It's a film that's just not as good as people make it out to be. It's just Ridley Scott just struggling to stay relevant, and that's been part of his problem overall. But then the following year, someone decided, the story about Harvey Weinstein was so critical and so important to the Me Too movement. Let's go ahead and make a movie off of this, for no other reason except the fact that, hey, it's a great story, and maybe we'll get some Oscar buzz for it, with She Said, which, it's a competently made movie, but it really is not a good film. It's a film where the intentions of it really was not there to tell a story and get this, really go into, it's like, this isn't like United 93 or World Trade Center, where you could tell that Paul Greengrass and Michael Mann wanted to tell a story about the events of September 11th. And some people said at the time it was controversial to do that because it was only 5 years after September 11th. But they worked. Both movies worked very well. They were great films. When you watch She Said, you don't get the feeling that the studio wanted to make this movie because they thought that this was such an engaging story, and they had really great directors and writers who could make this story not seem like something that we're just making because of the fact that it's a trendy topic of a discussion. It doesn't feel like that when you watch this movie. It feels like a movie that's being made because they see Me Too movement as a way to cash in on something that happened, and we just want to make a movie because we feel like that we can make money off of this. And nobody went to go see it for obvious reasons because it didn't feel like a film that was being legitimately made because they wanted to tell you something. And it's not helping the fact that the people that were in the Me Too movement that they tried to get rid of for the stuff that they did, like, it doesn't help that everybody is trying so hard to get them back out there. Harvey Weinstein, for example, he's trying to get his trials. He's trying to get the case reopened again. Like Louis C.K. was out for a little bit, and everyone's trying to he's trying to come back into the fold. You know, Brian Cox recently tried to get Kevin Spacey back into it. It's just like they've taken the idea of the Me Too movement and basically have just turned it into the equivalent of that, a simple slap on the wrist. It's just like, don't you do that again. Like you're treating these people like they're children, and they're not. Like they're children they're children who are having a temper tantrum, or they're sad or they're mad because they didn't get what they want. You can't do that with this. Like, this is serious stuff here, and that's what I hate about the world of entertainment, because they can take buzzwords, they can take anything and turn it into buzzwords or meme or something that needs to be memeable or something that's going to be relevant. Like, for God's sakes, Hawk Tour Girl made a career out of herself for that one and for 6 months she was the hot shit, and then all of a sudden she went to enter the world of Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden that credibility fell downhill. She's basically the equivalent of Bart Simpson in that episode of The Simpsons where he's just like, I didn't do it, and everyone likes it at first, and then it just goes away after so much. But that's what I'm trying to bring up here with the Me Too movement in here, because this literally them saying we're doing a sequel to Leaving Neverland. It's not saying that we want to do this because we want to continue to plant this idea that this is true and the people are lying to us. No, they saw how successful the original one did. I mean, for God's sakes, The Simpsons still won't put out the Michael Jackson episode because they're afraid because they're still afraid of the ramifications of Leaving Neverland. I mean, for God's sakes, Disney fired James Gunn after they already knew about the tweets that he had before this, and they fired him before they even knew they fired him, even though they already knew about this, and then they eventually brought him back to finish up Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was a great move on them because they realized that nobody can do the Guardians of the Galaxy like James Gunn can. And yeah, there are people out there who have admitted to doing wrong, and they've come out and said that they were wrong for it. Yeah, if you do if you do that, then yes, you should it's like the James Gunn situation. Like, there was no reason to fire James Gunn. If you already knew that he had these tweets out there, and it's the fact that you're firing them. It's basically them saying that you're trying to appease the people that were affected by this because you, quote, care about them. And situations like that, especially a situation like this, like there's nobody comes out of this feeling like they're doing this because they really believe in the cause. No, they believe that because they know they're going to get money rolling in at this point. I mean, that's what this whole thing is all about, money. And it doesn't care. It's exploitive trash for Hollywood to suck up the money on. And yeah, to do it with this, especially with Michael Jackson, with somebody that, even I'm a Michael Jackson fan, but I even know, and a lot of Michael Jackson fans already know, that the guy was a weird person. And yeah, he was seen as a weird person, but the guy was a brilliant entertainer. And the fact that people are still buying this idea that, he did this to children and did these really terrible things to children just because he was one of the biggest stars of the time, of all time, and is for several decades. Like, of course they're going to try to say something to get as much money as they can from him. Literally, that's what the whole thing feels like in general. Like it makes no sense whatsoever. And there's just so many things about this that just make no sense whatsoever, and it's just like I've had a lot. I've put this out on several pages that I'm on, and a lot of people agree with me that this is a really, really does feel like exploitation at the worst possible of the worst possible kind. And again, this was all stuff that was already out in the open. Everyone knew this stuff, but because this was coming out when the Me Too movement was at its height, everyone started to all these fake investigators online decided we want to go ahead and dig deep into this because I don't know, we want to feel like this is actually something really that important and special when this has been out for years now. And there has been no, and it doesn't help that, and like I said, it doesn't help that the people behind this have literally said that these are false claims that they have made up. They have literally said this since this came out. So what is the point of doing this all over again? What is seriously the point of doing this again? Except for the fact that we got a Michael Jackson biopic coming out. It's like, at this point, this is just you sucking at the teat and just doing whatever you can to cash in onto exploitive trash that was already exploitive trash beforehand, and now it's even more so. The fact that they're making a Leaving Neverland sequel now proves that the Me Too movement has gone past its well-placed intentions, its well-purposed intentions of getting rid of the scumbags, and the people that know that they're doing something bad and know that they were never going to give any consequences because no one was man enough to go up there and put their and say that you're out of there until the last 10 years now. And that ship has sailed. That has gone well past its intentions, and has become nothing more but exploitive trash for Hollywood to suck up the money on. Not just with this, but with something like She Said, with something like The Last Duel, and something like all these other documentaries and movies out there that that don't want to be there, don't want to exist to tell a true story or anything like that. They want to add into the false narrative that they're saying that they're doing good, but they're really just doing it because of the money. That's all it really comes down to here. And yeah, it's just something that it's been bugging me for so long, and I've been wanting to say it for so long now, but I've always been afraid of the backlash I could have on this. But I mean, am I crazy on this? Do you think I'm crazy on this? Please let me know down below what you think of this whole thing. Do you agree with me that the Me Too movement has gone way past what it was supposed to do and has become nothing more but an exploitive Hollywood trick now? Let me know down below. But yeah, Leaving Neverland 2 is coming, and you can bet that I am certainly not going to watch that. And as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go listen to some Michael Jackson music, because yeah, there's nothing you can do at this point to make me not listen to Michael Jackson music anymore. At this point, just saying. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. That I know for sure. So on that positively delightful note, let's continue on with something a little more lighthearted. How about some more poorly aged commercials? Last week we took a look at some commercials from the 1980s that were very poorly aged on most occasions, including, Bird's Eye Faggots, Bill Cosby, of course. So let's go ahead and take a look at another one of these stories, another one of these sets of commercials that Microsoft Sam has put out, because there's a new video set. There was a video that came out a month ago called Cursed 2010s Commercials, and let's take a look and see how badly these commercials have aged. Now, who do you think we're going to see in these commercials? Because I'm already seeing one name right now. We might see some Diddy, P. Diddy, of course. We could see Jared Fogle, because he was still making Subway commercials for the first half of the decade. We could see maybe Donald Trump. Could see maybe Elon Musk. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg. Maybe who else? Who else has been a troubling celebrity as of recently? Maybe I want to say, I really don't know. I really don't know who else it could be. But we've got 12 minutes worth of commercials here. And like I said, the first one we see right off the bat, P. Diddy. And it says right here, Diddy would go on to do things unbecoming of a Ciroc spokesperson.
Ciroc Smooth Talk with Diddy.
A lot of people ask me, Diddy, how do you come up with so many incredible, ultra premium flavors for Ciroc? And I simply tell them, I just pay attention to my lifestyle. What's really going on?
Is that really what people ask of you when you see Diddy for the first time back then? I mean, really? Is that really what people ask of Diddy the first time they see him? Like, so many other things you can ask P. Diddy about, but that's the thing you're going to ask him? But anyway, that's a commercial for a Ciroc wine.
Body. French vanilla, welcome to the family. You know I never let y'all down.
That's a threat right there, especially from Diddy. But let's hear that again, because that really does sound like a legitimate threat.
Body. French vanilla, welcome to the family. You know I never let y'all down. So let's turn up.
It somehow got even worse. That, oh my god, that was okay. That's pretty bad. That's a bad way to start right off the gate. So we got another commercial here, and does not say what the description is here, but let's take a look. It looks like it's set on an island.
The actual experience exceeds all expectations.
Oh, Fire Festival.
All these things that may seem big and impossible.
Welcome to Fire Festival. Turned out to be a mismanaged disaster, and the organizers went to prison for defrauding ticket buyers. Yeah, that's one I probably should have expected on there. I didn't think there was going to be internet commercials on here, but yeah, the Fire Festival. Need I say more? What a disaster of a festival that was. The best in food, art, music, and adventure. Yeah, right. I love how this is just is footage that they shot because this is the first time they were doing this. And, yeah, this is, yeah, and of course, needless to say, we all know how the Fire Festival turned out, and spoiler alert, it didn't turn out very well, so. Let's see what the next commercial is.
What is wrong with
Elizabeth
modern
Holmes,
medicine?
CEO and founder
People
of
don't even
Theranos.
know that they have...
Okay, let me see this again. This was a commercial for Theranos. Theranos was... Excuse me. Theranos was based on junk science, and founder Elizabeth Holmes is in prison for defrauding investors and wire fraud. Seems legit.
What is wrong with modern medicine?
People don't even know that they have a...
She's looking incredibly freaky, man. Those eyes, man. Like, that's not that it's on a white background, and there's probably lights looking right at her to make her look threatening. She looks like an alien, man. Like, she does not look like a human being here.
basic human right to be able to get access to information about themselves and their own bodies. And we'd like to see a world in which every person gets access to this type of basic...
She does not look like a human being. She looks like a freaking alien, man. Like, I don't know what's going on with her face and all that, but that does not look like a human face. That looks like a face that an alien would be wearing. This is creeping me out,
testing,
man.
and the types of tests that are done.
Okay, I gotta get away from that. Oh, Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey hurt many people when he was accused of sexual assault against many people, including underage boys.
Do you ever take a photograph that looks like a memory? I love that. To take a photograph that hurts every time you look at it, that does that hurty thing right here, I can do that.
And that's probably what he says to his victims, too. I mean, good lord. Oh, and it went from a white background to a creepy forest. That doesn't make this look any creepier than it actually is. I feel bad for Kevin Spacey, man. Like, I used to love Kevin Spacey before this whole thing happened with him, but I still think that what he did before is still great work. I mean, American Beauty, The Usual Suspects, I still respect him as an actor, but man, that dude is a freaking freak of nature, man. And not in a good way either. And that commercial did not help either. This one's definitely a lot more cringy and a lot more uncomfortable than the last set of commercials were. This next one is the world's least fun jump scare.
Don't be a tourist.
Oh. Well, this isn't really a jump scare, but if you've never seen this commercial, Canada PSA. There's your warning.
That. It's a rape whistle.
What more do you gotta say, man? Like, she is like that woman. Like, I love the implication that woman got that, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna be the star of the party no matter what here, and I'm gonna be the star of the party no matter what." And she's the star of the party, and maybe not for the intentions that she thought she was gonna get, but yeah, like, what a buzzkill that really is. Like, that's the equivalent of going to a funeral and getting a package from somebody, and it's the head of your dead mother, your dead mother at your father's funeral. I'm sorry for putting that effed up image in your face, but yeah, that's what this feels like, honestly.
The Canadian Women's Foundation, moving women and girls out of abuse and poverty and into confidence.
Confidence to bring a rape whistle to your best friend's baby shower. Yeah, somebody really needed to look at that one at the Canadian Women's Foundation. But the next one here, okay, this is recent news. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson became the guy in the ad after an encounter with Luigi Mangione. So I can only imagine what this is going to be.
You came to see the sights, not be one. Safe trip from United Healthcare Global has you.
I mean, it's a very short commercial. I'll just say that. Let me see it. I got to see that again.
Poverty and into confidence.
You came to see the sights, not be one.
Well, I mean, at least in this case, this guy is at least going to get healthy. Brian Thompson, yeah, that motherfucker's dead. Like, I mean, yeah, that one, not quite the same circumstances, but pretty close. I'll say that.
Safe trip from United Healthcare Global has you covered.
Okay, the next one is Mike Lindell.
Looks like you're not sleeping well.
Yeah. How did you know? Megan! What?
Hey, you're that guy.
The my pillow guy.
Why the fuck are you inside of our house? And how did you cut a hole into my medicine cabinet? Like, these two look like the type of people who would listen to Mike Lindell about anything he says, even election fraud. Because that's literally what this is. The guy in the mirror, My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell, has pivoted from the pillow business to the election fraud conspiracies. But yeah, let's continue on.
That's right, and I'm here to help you get the best sleep of your lives.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now, and Mike will give you 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price.
You're sleeping better.
Much better.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I know.
I watch you when you shit. Okay. Knowing these two would be just like, wow, Mike Lindell watches us when we take a shit. He's amazing. Like, this is another weird one, man. Ashley Madison. That's another one I should have figured. All of Ashley Madison's users got caught when a data breach revealed all of their users' data. Ashley Madison, of course, if you don't know, is a website that was around for marital affairs, if you will. But they actually had a commercial on television for it.
Why am I out of bed before everyone else? Why do I run faster than I did yesterday?
Because I know the man that I just slept with, his wife just came home and called the cops on me. I have to run away as quickly as possible.
Why do I drown out the voice of pain?
Uh-oh, here she comes.
Why do I never quit?
I just don't want to get caught.
Hey, you there! Shh!
Life is short, have an affair. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? I feel like that's a commercial they would have aired during the Super Bowl. Like, this was the way of getting out the word about this website. But I don't know. That just felt like something that was meant for a Super Bowl ad in particular. But holy mother of God, that tagline, life is short, have an affair. I mean, just wow. Alright, so moving on to the next one here, we have adult film legend Ron Jeremy, later charged with sexual assault, sodomy, and forcible penetration by foreign objects. Don't know what this is going to be, but that sounds like it could be very questionable.
Do you know that Ron means rum in Spanish? Now you can taste my rum, Ron to Jeremy. Come on, check out how drinks are made, Ron style.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever want to try anything made by Ron Jeremy, especially rum of all things. But that's another weird commercial right there. Next up we have here, Nightmare Blunt Rotation. So this will be fun. Ron Jeremy. It's a Macy's commercial for Herald Square. You got Taylor Swift, Martha Stewart, P. Diddy, I think, again. Oh, Donald Trump.
TV show.
Justin Bieber.
Welcome.
Flora
Dee,
Henderson.
Meet Harold, the new store manager.
I have been dreaming of this.
Okay. The sanest one of the group.
That's fair.
Her and Florence Henderson, but still.
Harold.
They're all really here, aren't they?
Yes, Harold, they are.
Only one star can bring all these stars together. That's the magic of Macy's.
Okay, Honda. Oh, I remember this one. This one I remember from the Super Bowl, and yeah, this led to a lot of controversy when this one came out. So I'm not even gonna say what it is. It's a commercial for Hyundai, but wait until you hear what the punchline is. Okay, maybe this isn't the same one, but... Okay, this isn't the same ad, but still, what's the punchline of this commercial, you might be asking yourself? Yeah, this definitely wasn't what I thought it was. This was a commercial for the punchline of this was that the ad was basically this guy who, you know, it looked like he was killing himself in his own car, using suicide as a punchline to sell cars. And it literally looks like he's literally going to kill himself, but then as it turns out, it's nighttime and he turns the light on and he gets out of his car and out of the garage. And the punchline is the new iX35 with 100% water emissions. Like, somebody in Hyundai greenlit this and said, no problems here whatsoever. People will get the message here, right? Well, screw you. I'm going to put it out there anyway. I mean, I feel like that's the only reason why that commercial made it out there, because nobody gave a shit about that. So, but, yeah, that's not the commercial I thought it was. There was a Super Bowl commercial that came out years ago where it was a car commercial, but they decided to use suicide as the message of it. Like, the kid was just, it's like it was either suicide or a car accident. I can't remember what it was, but when I'm done with this video, I'll try to find it. But let's get back to the video. We're only halfway through here, about 6:26 into the video. It's about a 12-minute video, so we're halfway through this.
We're so dead.
You got two guys out into the middle of the desert.
Did you just see?
And there's a car with a bunch of hot-looking models inside of it.
I hate mirages. Come on. Guys, you want some water?
P. Diddy again.
You're losing it. Your mind is playing tricks on you.
We're gonna die out here. Oh my, look at that!
No, stop. You're seeing things. It's just a mirage.
Welcome to the soiree.
Are you sure this is a mirage? The Fiat over there has 4 doors. Fiat only makes small cars. It's not real.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's go.
Bye, Diddy Mirage. You're definitely gonna die now.
The all-new 4-door Fiat 500L. Unbelievable.
Well, you're gonna die not because of that, but because you're hanging out with Diddy. I mean, that's what...
big.
I want to take Diddy Mirage with me.
Yeah, don't do that.
My name is...
Okay, so next one is a BlackRock. Evil company puts out an ad featuring the kid who would later go on to assassinate a U.S. president, almost.
Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, you know, that guy made this place a special place to come to school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
Yeah. That kid is definitely in there. Yeah, Thomas Crooks is definitely in this commercial for BlackRock, and yeah, that's not good for that company. The fact that they put that in there, and turns out he's the guy that almost killed Donald Trump. So, yeah, that's a doozy one here. Yeah, these are definitely much more intense than the commercials I looked at last time around. But let's go ahead and check out the next one here. It says, Doc Antle would go to prison for wildlife trafficking and run a cult where he groomed underage women for polygamy. I have no idea who Doc Antle is, so this is news to me. It's a commercial from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
For those wanting to get up close and personal with some of Mother Nature's most majestic creatures, this stop is for you.
It's a long commercial, too, so because I don't know who Doc Antle is, I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one here, but... Oh, here we go. Matt Gaetz. A Matt Gaetz commercial. Matt Gaetz is advocating for policies that may put himself in prison.
8-year-old girl is abducted and murdered. A violent sexual predator charged with the crime. 3 weeks earlier, he'd been released from prison.
The system was broken, so I led the fight to fix it.
Matt Gaetz passed 50-year mandatory prison sentences for child predators.
I'm Matt Gaetz, and I'll always fight to protect our kids.
I think that commercial speaks for itself. I've got nothing to add to that. Next commercial. I mean, seriously, what more do I even need to say about that one? But next commercial here. It looks like a commercial that starts off for like some Toddlers and Tiaras show, but we'll see what happens here.
Can we start now?
Oh, Honey Boo Boo. Okay, yeah. Remember when the Honey Boo Boo was the thing? She was on Family Feud. Her mother was at a cameo in Dumb and Dumber 2. Here Comes Honey Boo Boo was canceled after Mama June started dating a sex offender. Several cast members have since been arrested and or started OnlyFans accounts. Yeah, this was unfortunately a thing.
I am Honey Boo Boo Chan. I am a pirate grand superstar.
You thought she was crazy? Wait till you meet the rest of her family.
This is a crazy family. I have 3 sisters. Parker the craziest. Anna's the pregnancies. And Jessica's my favorite, like my BFF. The Boston's family is Mama.
Mama!
My name is Mike. My nickname is Sugar Bear.
Sugar Bear, my baby daddy. We got too much estrogen in the house. Need some testosterone.
The new series premieres Wednesday, August 8th.
It's TLC, you know, the same company that literally said, who cares about these, background checks and all that type of stuff. Come on to our network and we'll put you on the air. I mean, this is the same company that literally put out John and Kate Plus 8 and made them stars. I mean, yeah, TLC had a bad rap back then. Still has a bad rap nowadays, but yeah, that's a mess right there. But Hulu is next with Alec Baldwin, eerily predicting TikTok brain rot in 2010.
The new series premieres Wednesday, August 8th.
Hello again, Earth. I'm Alec Baldwin here at Hulu with some exciting news. Now that we're beaming TV shows to your lab-based computing boxes for free, 24/7, they're finally rotting your brains, just like Mom promised they would.
That's what she said.
So keep watching. The sooner your brains have percolated into bubbly, cheesy goo, the sooner we can slurp them through your ear canals and pass them through our lower intestines. Because we're aliens. And that's what we do. Hulu, an evil plot to destroy the world. Enjoy.
Okay, so that was that one. Only 2 more to look at here, and it looks like we got Skittles next.
Lemon. Orange.
What the fuck?
Oh my.
It looks like it's an older woman, and I'm guessing her son, and they've got this, like, umbilical cord attached to her. Like, is that supposed to be... Was that supposed to be the thing that they cut? Is it that they cut whenever they take a baby out when you're pregnant? Or I think that's exactly what this is. Like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Mother, I love eating Skittles every time you eat Skittles. I love you eating Skittles every time I eat Skittles. I miss Dad.
Cut the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Happy Mother's Day.
What the fuck was that? What was that? I've never seen that commercial before in my life. I'm baffled by that one. And, yeah, that's a weird one. That one is just like, what the hell were they thinking of Skittles? And, yeah, that's a mess right there. But we got one more commercial, and just take a glimpse here. I think, yeah, this is one that I think you all know. It's a classic one, so we'll end it on this very delightful note, if you will.
I must have the wrong house.
Sister? Oh, I missed you so much. They waited up all night for you, you know.
It's a long way from West Africa. Oh, real coffee.
He's here.
I brought you something from far away.
Really? Oh.
What are you doing?
You're my present this year.
Putting the kin and kindred spirits. That's literally what the description is, but yeah. Everyone remembers this loving commercial about these two people meeting each other again for the first time in a long time, and yeah, they literally tell you that, yeah, they're brother and sister, and yet they're talking like they're a couple who are literally about to bang each other, and yeah, this is Folgers, what the hell were you thinking when you made this commercial, man? This is a commercial that's been rightfully parodied several times since this commercial's come out, but rightfully so, because, yeah, it's incredibly freaky. It's incredibly not comfortable at all. It's really, really a mess on so many levels, and it's just like, what the hell were they thinking with this?
The best part of waking up
is in the sex in your bed. I mean, that's literally what this commercial is.
Folgers in your car.
Okay, so that's that, and yeah, that's the latest set of commercials from Microsoft Sam. Really uncomfortable commercials, and ones that have definitely looked a whole lot worse than the ones that I took a look at the last time, the 80s commercials. But what do you expect from this? But with all that said, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's get out of here with recommendations, and that's next. So this week, in terms of new releases, in terms of physical media, there's not really a whole lot. A lot of the lesser titles, catalog titles making their 4K debut, like My Girl is, I think, the biggest new release of the bunch I see here. Body Parts, the Jeff Fahey movie from 1991, is getting a 4K release through Kino Lorber. And that's about it. Everything else, I think, is just... Well, Amadeus is coming out on 4K for the first time. That's a Best Picture winner, so... the Oscars are coming up next week, so if you want to see that, that's available out there on 4K, as is The Forbidden Kingdom and You're Next. So a lot of catalog titles overall, some good catalog titles, but yeah, it's just mostly catalog titles, no big new releases, but a lot of good stuff that you want to get on 4K, that's out there. So And speaking of the Academy Awards, that's what we'll be covering next time we meet here, because the Oscars are next Sunday night, and I will be doing a live rewatch of the Oscars starting at 8 p.m. when the Oscars begin, so definitely look forward to that. And don't forget to check out the Reviewing Network Awards on our main channel on Saturday, March 1st, where I'll run down my personal award show where I talk about the best movies and performances I saw this year. And it's a fun little alternative to the Academy Awards. So if you want to go ahead and check that out when that premieres on March 1st. With all that said, thank you so much for joining us this week on the Reviewing Network Live. A very good show overall this week. If you like what you see and you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist up on the next page here. Check out the last episode we did. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check out some of the other videos we have here on this channel, because we do post new videos here every day. So with all of that said, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys next week. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, we are out.